And welcome to BFF,
This is our live review show where we talk about whatever was on fan fiction.
or at least something on fan fiction. We haven't come across a situation yet where we can't talk about something
This
that's
is
not fan
our
fiction.
live review show where we talk about whatever was
Come
on
on,
fan
mute,
fiction.
mute. Okay.
Technical difficulties. You can tell we're at amateur hour. I'm
Uh,
going to blame the hurricane.
yeah, for those of you that have been keeping up with what's going on, we live in the southeast region of Texas, currently being pummeled by Hurricane Harvey. We have
Well, it's
actually,
like a tropical storm now,
yeah,
right?
it was a hurricane when it got here. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
But yes, it's a tropical storm now. Probably going to downgrade to depression eventually. It's not quite a storm anymore. It's depressed.
Well, it needs to go away.
Yeah, it does. I think we're at like 20 inches of rainfall in our area alone so far, and all that jazz. So exciting times.
The storm is kind of like dissipated for now, so
It has, and I'll probably post some pictures later about the area as it's post storm at the moment. Hello, Atticus. But yeah, so we decided to go ahead and do our BFF. We've had a few hours of calm, putting us in a mindset that we can do this.
Yeah, we watched the show, and there were actually two options. Please don't get into a fight off camera, cats. Anyway, the things we could edit. Anyway, as I was saying, the two things that we could have watched for this show were, of course, Friday Night Lights, which we're going to review, and the Sarah Connor Chronicles, the
Yes.
Terminator TV show. Those were the two things, both of them chosen by Billy.
Yep.
That we had not seen. We could not find Sarah Connor Chronicles. I'm never going to be able to say that right. Legally to watch unless you could pay for it, and we just don't.
We didn't want to buy it because
Exactly.
it wasn't even like a rental option.
Yeah.
So we were like, no. I want to go ahead and give a quick shout out before we continue too far to the people that I've seen in the chat. I saw Tom and Kimber earlier, and Cal's been here a bit. My sister just dropped in. She is also dealing with the same situation. They are like a mile and a half away from us in a straight line. So, and they've already had water in their house. They lost electricity earlier, and their air conditioner died right before the storm. So we're so sorry.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people around us, including several of our friends who have had water in their homes. Some of them do not have flood insurance, so they're going to have like a hard struggle ahead of them.
It's not going to be easy.
So we just keep hoping that things will remain calm over here.
We're hoping basically last night was the worst of it. We know there's still more rain to come, but water still in the driveway. Yeah, when we still have water in our driveway, that's not going to go anytime soon.
Yeah, our whole backyard was a lake or a bay earlier, so
yeah.
Anyway, so back to what we're actually here to talk about, fan fiction related things. Let's talk about Friday Night Lights.
So it's a show based on a movie, based on a book, based on real life events, set in a West Texas town in the late 80s, mid 80s.
I don't think the show is supposed to be set,
the real events.
The actual events took place in, I guess, probably 1988. The book was published in 1990. And it was based off of a town of Odessa, Texas, in the Permian Basin. And so the team was the Permian Panthers, state champion football team.
And for those of you that don't know, most people do, because of shows like Friday Night Lights and King of the Hill. Wow. Oh, my God. Cal, you're derailing the point. The show, high school football is a huge deal in Texas. Like, there will be generations of people that stay in the same town just so their kids can go to the same high school and participate in the same football team and everything else. It's a big deal down here. So Friday Night Lights is a show that I think it was one of those shows that we actively did not watch.
Yeah, because even though I grew up in the high school football system only because I was in marching band and we played every football game. That's like a big tradition is a marching band, when the football players are not running a play or whatever they call it, whatever they were doing down there.
Yeah, you guys play.
Yeah, and we would play the halftime show, and it's a big deal. So I went to every high school football game because that was required of me.
Yeah.
Had I not been in band, I probably would not have gone to any games.
I only went to football games because you were there.
Yeah, exactly. Like you'd come hang out, and then like the band director would be like, "You need to leave,
Get
sir.
away from the band.
You know, you need to leave, sir."
So
yeah, it's again, yeah, high school football is a huge deal, and a lot of this we only watched the pilot episode because we wanted to, unlike the backlogs where we actually have time to like maybe watch a whole season. Except for Avatar.
That being said, as a side note, we could add this to the list of stuff we could backlog and do a more in-depth review during next summer when we do backlogs, if we do backlogs, whatever.
But just based off of this pilot, it's kind of like the coach, which I forgot his name already, Kyle Chandler's character. I don't remember anyone's names.
We only watched one episode. We don't remember any of their names.
If you know their names, you can say it in the chat.
Coach McFirstyear's the head coach.
Yeah, the head coach. He's new, but he's been like an assistant coach, if I was following the plot correctly.
And as it stands, he's been like coaching football for at least 9 years because he was like one of the other characters. He was the Pee Wee League coach for one of the other characters. Or something like that.
Yeah, anyway, so yeah, he's new, and there's a lot of pressure on him because, this is a championship high school football team. Like, the news is there, all sorts of things. And there's a lot of pressure on him to bring in a championship season. Like, the whole town is talking. And so then there's, like, this news crew following the team around, and like you can like tell like the interviewers are trying to not necessarily start some stuff, but just kind of bring the light.
They're looking for a story.
They're looking for a story, and one of the people is like shows up to the interview drunk, but yet nobody does anything about it.
Yeah, and that's where my first issue is, and it could be because of the nature of the town we live in. If it was even suspected that one of the students would show up to practice or school, because practice is typically on a school day. I believe even then it was a Monday morning. If it was even suspected that the student showed up like hungover or drunk or whatever, that student would be removed from the game.
Yeah, and then another one about his dad that passed away, and there's all sorts of like apparently there's racial tensions on the team as well, also involving this drunk character.
Yep.
So you see like a lot of little slices of everyone's life in this town, and like there's this big event at the car dealership, which like our town doesn't have a car dealership, but like apparently this little small town has one near enough.
We have one.
Oh, we do? Like an actual big? Oh yeah,
no,
we do have a big one.
We don't have a super big one in Deer Park.
Oh yeah, but it's kind of like on the outskirts. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, we lied about our town. We didn't mean to.
No.
It was a mistake. We don't go to that side because we just never go there.
No reason to.
Yeah, we don't ever go to that dealership, whatever. So like there's like this big event and everyone's there, and you can tell like everybody in this little town loves this football team. And then like it gets to the big game and like they're having some struggles, and then their quarterback get blocks a play, and he's not doing too well. Like he is on the field, like he can't move. And so then they have to send in this other kid. It
should be noted, it's not even that he's not doing too well. He gets injured.
Yeah.
Like he falls hard.
Like he's paralyzed.
And when they're out there checking him out, they're asking him, okay, grip my hand. He grips the dude's hand. Move your feet.
He's like, I'm moving my feet.
He doesn't move his feet. So they pull him off and they pull in the reserve quarterback. Well, the issue is the reserve quarterback, never has any practical experience because the other quarterback is put up for everything.
Yeah, he is like the golden child of this team.
The one who's injured is the golden child.
Mm-hmm.
He's also the one that's been on this, been coached by the Kyle Chandler.
Kyle Chandler, the actor.
The actor since Pee Wee League. So it's a story.
Yeah, and there definitely was some tense moments where I was like, oh no. I remember people getting hurt in football and everybody standing up, all of the players taking a knee, until they're better, and then the game has to go on, and it does. And now this poor kid who has no, again, practical experience actually playing the game outside of practice is now you have to win the game and they're behind and every play is going terrible.
I called it as soon as the backup quarterback go out there. They're going to win because it's going to create tension with the original quarterback who was the golden child and all this other junk. It's writing 101.
I thought it would be that they might lose the game, and then that's going to cause problems for the coach. But they end up winning the game, spoilers, and we see that like everybody goes and visits the quarterback, and like he's in like traction, and like he's sitting up, but like you can tell like his football career is over,
or at least his professional career would be over because he has no way to like get attention, basically. Because for those kids that want to go into professional football or college football or whatever they want to do, it's almost necessary that you play your senior year.
And apparently, I've just been kind of scanning the chat, but TJ has football experience. He played football in high school, apparently. So, yeah, if you want to, like, chime in with some more things, I hear that there's, like, a little conversation going back and forth between all the people in the chat. So that's pretty cool.
That being said, we do not have personal football team experience with our local football team that we went to high school with and stuff like that. Other than knowing a few of the players, you were on the band and that kind of stuff.
I knew like a couple of people on the team that were pretty nice.
But where we have in-depth experience is how the town works. And that is something that's actually relatively dead on about this.
It felt very honest. The only thing to me that felt wrong was the way that they were portraying like the tracking of this team versus how big the town felt.
Yeah.
Because Texas is a huge state, obviously, and the league sports for any kind of like whether it's like football, basketball, or other things like debate.
You have districts.
Yeah, and there's like different classes. So like the school that we like work at or like did work at because you're not working there this semester is like the biggest classifications, a 6A school. So it has like the biggest population. That's the sports that really matter. If you're in the other divisions, like 5 and below, it goes all the way to 1, and there's different divisions. Those sports aren't looked at as highly upon as like your big 6A schools, like our school's a big 6A. There's a dozen other schools that are in that league.
Yep.
And the way the town felt in the show, it felt more like a 3A school because, again, I know it's like a show. You don't get to meet everybody. But just kind of like the way the town felt, it didn't feel like
everything was spread out. There wasn't a lot of densely populated areas.
It felt more rural. And, like, I know the actual school it's based off of, like, they are in the highest division still. Like, I researched it. But it just didn't feel like that kind of small town would have like enough students to be like this big school.
It could be a limitation of the budget of the show and
of course, but it didn't come across as, because like if you come to our town and look at like our stadium, like it's state of the art. If you go to the other really big schools like Katy, which has a good football.
Right now our stadium's a lake though.
It is, yeah.
I went and looked.
Like an ocean, like a bay.
It's a pretty big lake.
It really did look like
that. Yeah.
Okay, that wasn't like a fake picture.
Nope.
We'll tweet that out later. But yeah, that was the only thing that felt inauthentic to me, just the way the town was portrayed. Like it didn't feel like it was like it would get all the media attention. It felt like it was a smaller school district, but based on reality, it actually is a big school. So. Yeah. But everything else felt really accurate. There's a lot of moments where like the quarterback's like praying or like with the team, like that's very accurate to school sports where like a student will lead a prayer and like just everything else was really accurate about the show, about town.
Totally. And it's not just that too. The way people reacted about everything. The way that like everybody in town was giving advice to the coach on how to run the team or giving advice to the players on how to play the game. Most of these people probably never played football in their life. It's just that's accurate.
There's definitely like I always hear people talk about our head football coach around town.
Yeah.
Or like in the
basically
school
saying,
itself.
well, he should do this to run the team better. And I'm just like, have you ever run a team in your life?
And especially like our school, like we have like a pretty decent team, but like there's a lot of other teams in our conference that are just like way better than us and have been forever. Like we haven't won a state championship since the 1950s. So,
Joe, what was the set in the world of video game masterpiece Mutant League football? I don't know. The Mutant League in general, I think is supposed to be our world. I don't know. What if it was set? I'm sorry, I misread. I mean, that would be more entertaining. I'm a big fan of off-style sports games where they take like robots and have them play soccer. One of my favorite baseball video games was Base Wars on the 8-bit Nintendo, where it was baseball with robots and they'd fight. Like if you grab the ball, once it hit the ground, grab the ball, got back to base, you had to like fight the dude for control of base. It's kind of awesome. I never played much Mutant League football. Blood Bowl, though, I played a bit of that. It's the Warhammer Fantasy Universe, but football with like elves and orcs.
But anyway.
Yeah. We don't sport either, Kimber.
Yeah. Again, I would not have gone to the football games if I did not have to be there because of school. You got graded and had to march your spot, and that was our practice time to be in front of an audience and run our whole show in the proper format.
Was it totally worth not having a PE?
I don't know. That second semester was pretty sweet. We didn't have to go to band practice anymore. But that first semester, oh yeah, it'll be so much easier than PE. No.
And then summer.
No, summer in Texas on the parking lot.
Blacktop.
Yeah, and that was before they had repaved the parking lot, so there was like potholes. It's nicer now.
It's much nicer. But that's the thing. There's a lot of authenticity to the style of this show, and it's probably because it adhered really close to the source material, which was written by people, or written, I think the author of the original book lived in that town.
I have no clue about that.
We don't know much about the book, unfortunately, but it does feel very authentic. If it's not written and created by people from Texas that dealt with that kind of stuff, it's definitely adhering close enough to source material that is.
Yeah, and I did like how authentic it felt, and then I liked how they didn't just focus, especially like when they were ramping up the drama during like the last few plays of the football game when the quarterback did not have a lot of experience. They would
backup quarterback,
and then they would show the actual quarterback like during surgery, and so like I felt like it handled drama really well, but definitely one of those shows where it's like there's so many people to keep up with, and I'm not usually a fan of shows like that because I can barely remember especially half the characters and like most of the shows I like.
Especially when we're being bombarded with it in the first episode. I like shows like Bob's Burgers where they give us 5 characters to give a crap about in the first episode and then sprinkle in 2 characters every other episode or something like that. That works for me. But this was okay.
Yeah, what would you rank it out of 10?
Like 7.
7? I probably, for authenticity, it kind of helps it a little more, so 7's probably.
That's why I gave it a 7.
Yeah, good for me too. I would not watch this show normally. I don't think we'll finish all of the seasons.
I'm not a football.
Yeah, and I know that like there's other things involved besides the football team, but
it pervasives it. Like it's all surrounding it and infiltrates it. It's all there. That's the focus.
I was hoping there would be more school things because school. But there was not that many school things yet, so. I
liked the actors. They did a good job. I like Connie Britton, whatever, however you pronounce her last name. She's in American Horror Story. She's good in that. I know she's in the show Nashville. I've never seen that.
Yeah, I've never seen that either.
I hope I never have to.
Oh, Kimber gives us a 10.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that.
Tom ranks it a meh out of all right.
Yep. But now we get to the fun part.
Yeah.
So when we
talking about the fan friction next, the actual fight, or did you want to talk about the everyone's guesses?
I would rather talk about everyone's guesses.
All right, and then fan friction?
Sure.
All right.
Let's talk guesses.
We should have talked about this before.
We should have, but it's, as you guys know,
it's
been hectic. I didn't brush my hair. It's a mess. Like there's probably a rat in here.
Oh no, not a rat. Ew.
Yeah, fix that focus. It's like going crazy. Let's push this back.
Hey, Randall, welcome.
What's up, Randall? Is that a unicorn Kimber shared?
It looks like a unicorn.
So on the Twitters, when we decided we were going to do this show, we posted a question on our Geek to My Nerd Twitter page.
I very carefully made a graphic in an app.
That is about, basically was supposed to be like a Riddler style riddle about what show we were doing next.
And all of the guesses were wrong.
There were a few that were close.
But they were so funny.
So we're going to read some of those guesses.
Let's read what the riddle was.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's a TV show. It's timely to something that happens all around the U.S. right now. one of the BFFs have lived this experience.
All right, so obviously, TV show, that was the easy part.
Yep.
Scroll back up. It's school now, like back to school, and it's a show about school. It's
high school
football
season starts probably like in a week or two.
And then, like, I had football season experience because I was there every week.
You experienced those Friday night lights.
And so a lot of people, the themes were like the funniest guesses. A lot of people did guess school, but then other people were like other things that are going on in the U.S. And I was just like, I'm not going to answer any questions.
So Cal, who's in the chat right now, starts with Back to School, which is that a show?
I think he was just asking if that was maybe the theme.
Oh, the theme. Okay. Jack said Head of the Class, which I know is a show. Wow. You refresh it if you haven't seen it, Cal, because we've been talking for like 20 minutes.
And I know other people are reacting to things we're saying, so.
Yeah. Becky Miller had suggestions for how we could go about the show, talking about and stuff like that. But Cal's suggestion, which has nothing to do with Back to School, is American Horror Story Cult.
I know, I was like, that show's not out yet. How can we review something?
To be fair, our last actual BFF episode was over a movie that just came out.
It's true.
So I could see the logic of that. And it is a TV show.
And then everyone's like, well, you live in Texas, you're in a cult. I'm like, no.
Delisha suggested This Is Us, a show we've never seen.
Yeah.
I've never seen.
And that would actually work for the question because there's a lot of family things that are going on.
That's fair. Janine thought that as well. Brian simply posted a picture of Homer Simpson dancing a jig while thinking, and Lisa's playing the jug. I didn't type that. Jack, are you controlling the Tough channel too? Interesting. Anywho,
Haunted.
Randall thought it was a tough one as well, which is fair. So here's a fun little 6 degrees of separation mentality I went through. Tom, our own Odd Shape channel, brought up Hero from Heroes, saying Yata.
With the theme of the eclipse.
With the theme of the eclipse. Raul thought if it's Heroes, he's going to fanboy so much. And Janine guessed 13 Reasons Why, which is one of the closest.
Guess, because again, school.
However, Tom is technically close because Heroes features, I can't remember the actress's name, but she is the cheerleader who...
Hayden Panettiere?
That's it. Plays a cheerleader in a West Texas town. Like high school football cheerleader. Also, she was on the show Nashville with Connie Bryton.
Oh, there you go.
It's a link.
And I saw, like Jack had suggested Head of the Class, and there were some other school shows guessed as well. Like I want to say Boy or Girl Meets World was suggested.
Eric Ossenmacher also said Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty close too. Again, to the whole school theme, and so yeah, a lot of good guesses. Yeah, we didn't come up with a real Twitter question because the hurricane. So we're like, let's just read everyone's guess.
Amy Awesome also suggested Stranger Things, which is still school-ish, but it's not like high school.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's close. But Janine and Eric definitely got the closest. So next we talk about the actual fan friction.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about fan friction. So let's talk about this question first, and then we'll get to your epic pitch.
Because I'm like late.
I'm so sad. I'm so sad you didn't get to pitch your show.
So. Yes, Freaks and Geeks is better than Friday Night Lights, Kimber. Way better.
I love Freaks and Geeks. It's such a good show.
Fun fact, to mull over, there are 2 actors for Freaks and Geeks that are now in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Discuss amongst yourselves. So the question was the best show that epitomizes family? Or
yeah, I'm trying to pull up the actual verbiage because, again, so prepared.
Yeah, it's a hurricane.
Yeah, we're going to blame everything that's wrong on the hurricane. Scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. Keep on scrolling. It's a new song. Scrolling. Scrolling, scrolling. See, these are the things that we would cut out of the show if we were editing this. But we're not because we don't got time.
Now I'm dancing in unison with my YouTube dance.
Oh my God, how many side conversations we have in this thing?
Way too many. Welcome to Twitter, Leah.
All right, so it was this question. What TV show, past or present, embodies the very best meaning of the word family?
So Billy, our guest, which for those of you that haven't watched the actual fan fiction, he goes by Billy Business, and he is the fact checker extraordinaire for TV Fights, our favorite show on Screen Junkies, or at least mine. I don't speak for you.
I love TV Fights.
I do too. He chose Friday Night Lights. We also had
Langley had Community, and Brian, who took your place because, Hurricane. He chose Roseanne, and I think those are all really good choices. I feel like Roseanne is definitely the most traditional choice because it has a nuclear family, and they're not maybe like the most prominent family. They're definitely middle class and have some struggles.
I had made mention during the episode that Roseanne is just the evolution of something like Leave It to Beaver. If you drag them into the late 90s with whatever economic problems would be existing at that point, you take a standard family and put it in that modern era, and it's going to be different. Just the societal factors are different.
And then Community was a really strong choice because, again, it kind of goes with the whole, like, you create your family and your unit. And then Friday Night Lights, it seems like what Billy talked about, that there was a lot of elements that were similar to Roseanne. Like, it's not just about the football, and like there's like more than one like type of family represented. You have more nuclear families, and then you have like brothers that are having to act as each other's family. The team itself is a family. So everybody like obviously gets the question right. It's just how do you argue it? And like, what was your original choice?
My original choice for that one was Spaced, and I think I would have had a similar situation that Langley had. That at the end of the day, it's about a group of people that that come together and form a family unit. There's even a whole speech in the final episode of Spaced about Simon Pegg trying to convince their former landlord that like, hey, we need to stay together and everything else. That, they say the family of the 21st century is made up primarily of friends, and if that's true, then you're the coolest aunt I've ever had. I think they're in a tank when they're saying that.
Yeah, it's a very absurd show, but like I thought that was a really strong choice too, because again, a lot of times, and like I want to say Brian had brought it up, like, if we could like choose like people in our family, like that's awesome. Like, because there's certain people and many people families that are like, okay, like if we could just get rid of this one person, not that you want to really get rid of them, but sometimes you do have to like take people out of your life because they're toxic.
Yeah, that's the thing. And that's the other thing too, is you choose your friend. There's the saying that you choose your friends, you don't choose your family. Well, you often don't get to choose who among your friends becomes your family. Like we at the Tough Channel have almost become like some sort of weird extended family situation. I don't mean weird in a bad way, but like we're all over the country. None of us are neighbors. We flew out to Philadelphia and New York to visit with our family. So we didn't know that this kind of thing was going to happen when we first all became friends. We just thought it was just people that we were going to talk with that are like-minded. I have lots of people I talk with online for tabletop gaming stuff that I don't extend past that. But I talk with you guys daily. I don't talk with all my family that much daily, and I feel bad about that. I really should, but I don't know. I have to reach out. They have to reach out. Everything else.
Yeah, and then Jack is saying, the ultimate fan family. For like one of the meanings of tough. Is definitely true, and I thought it was a really good fight. And I want to say, let me just double check my notes real quick. That I think Billy. I do take notes. I'm a note taker.
You are a note taker.
Not that my notes are great.
More like a nerd.
Another thing that Billy had said that I think was in his favor is the fact that, like with Community and Roseanne, since they're more comedies, like Friday Night Lights is a more like realistic, and so it has like a lot of those real emotions versus it being played for laughs. And then I love Langley's talk about how like, well, the coach just makes you be a family. Like a forced situation.
But at the same time, that's what some families are.
But then Billy did have a good a rebuttal to that. It was like, well, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And that's very true, too. You can say all day, like, we're going to be a family, but, you know, it takes those individual, in this case, the team, to really say we're going to come together.
Or you threaten them. You know, you threaten them. This is your future. If you want to get into a college and play football, you family up.
And then at the end of the day, it was really close, but like Brian had just like enough specific things. And I think Jack had talked about how like he could really relate to those moments and remember those moments from Roseanne the best.
And I think when you're trying to argue for the concept of family, that's what you need to argue with, is the relatableness.
Mm-hmm. You gotta, because I teach English and we talk about argumentative writing, and you have to know your audience and you have to know how to appeal to that audience. Things that are going to work for me as a judge are not going to work for Jack, vice versa. And so you gotta know who you're aiming for and target your argument to fit what that person wants.
And going with that theme, that's what I would plan on arguing.
Coach Taylor, that's his name. I had a Coach Taylor from the show. I'm sorry.
Anyway, so I was going to say when I was going to argue it that like it's the fact that you don't know often like who among your friends are going to end up being your family. And that was the case with us. We all got together to do this show because we thought it'd be a fun idea, and now it's blossomed into we do a channel thing. And while we don't have the kind of followership that Screen Junkies does, I don't think we necessarily need that kind of followership. But at the same time, it's fun, and we care about each other, and we rely on each other, and we share with each other, and we talk with each other, and we try to help each other grow and become better people. And at the end of the day, that's what family is supposed to be. It takes a village to raise a child, and it takes a family to raise each other, and all that jazz. And Spaced is like that. It's the story of a woman who owns a house, the strange, weird artist that lives in the basement, and the couple of people that were just ejected from their former living situation that pretended to be a couple so they could get cheap rent, that ended up being more than that. Like they end up getting married and have a kid. Brian finds love because of her friend Daisy's friend Twist. Who, you know, more family joined into the cluster. I think even
Mikey or Mike.
No, crud. Mike ends up moving in with the landlord upstairs, and they're really close, weirdly close. And they're a family, and none of them knew that was going to happen. So. By the way, if you guys have never seen the show Spaced, you need to watch it.
It's very great, especially if you're a fan of Edgar Wright. It's one of his first shows that he did,
and you can tell he's
stylistically like he's doing a lot of things that he does in his movies, and it's just a great show. Simon Pegg and Nick Frost are in it.
Bye, Cal. But yes, Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, the woman that plays their landlord. Is in Hot Fuzz. I'm pretty sure she's in Shaun of the Dead too.
I think she is as well.
But in Hot Fuzz, she's in charge of the wife of the couple that run the bar. And there's lots of people that are in their shows or in his movies and shows that are in this show, and it's very evident. It's fantastic. You should watch it. It's glorious. There's an episode where they break into a pound to save a dog. And they all have Star Wars code names because Simon Pegg's character works at a comic shop, and he's like a consummate geek.
And he's a comic artist as
well. He has like posters of Gillian Anderson on his wall, linked to another question we had in this episode. Gillian Anderson played Agent Scully, X-Files.
Yeah.
Badass woman. So, but that being said, Brian fought hard, had examples, and he won. It was close because it is, at the end of the day, it's about the argument, especially when there are all three good examples. Because sometimes there's like clear, obvious answers. That happens because opinion and taste goes into the answering of these questions. But and Lucy is an American Gods, even though that's not really her. There's just someone pretending to be her.
Yeah, Gillian Anderson. I would like to hear, before you do your epic tool time pitch, I want to hear what was going to be your argument for how Jessica Fletcher was the consummate awesome woman.
From my side of things, my counter arguments I wasn't 100% sure on, because I was going to see what they were going to try and do to me.
Yeah.
But my basic argument is she has hundreds of times over either found a dead body in her hometown of Cabot Cove, or gone on a book signing or vacation or some other town,
some cousin's wedding,
and again stumbled across a dead body. So the Grim Reaper is her vanguard, and then once she's there, she like takes it upon herself to find out who the killer is.
Even though she's not a detective, she's just a retired English teacher.
She's a retired English teacher and novelist.
Uh-huh.
So she takes it upon herself to find out who the murderer is, and then usually confronts the murderer, sometimes by herself, or is like telling the cops, no, you just wait in the wings, and I'll call you when I need you. And just like confronts the murderer, like, oh, but you killed so-and-so with a cyanide capsule just to make it look like a suicide.
And then you made it look like you weren't home and did this. Yeah.
So she's like ultimately BA.
And plus she's old.
She's an old woman who doesn't like carry a gun or anything, and she doesn't fight people. She's just so confident. She's like Columbo levels of like cockiness. She's like, you're not gonna do anything to me.
Tom apparently knows a lot of stuff about Jessica Fletcher.
She's the only author who has written more books than she's read.
Apparently, during the series, she's written 42 books. I would imagine Jessica Fletcher read more than 42 books. Oh my gosh, that's how many books my kids guessed I had read in my class. I'm like, I've read more than 42. Anyway, side note.
But the other thing too is if they tried to counter me with the argument that like, well, there's weird theories about
she really is
the killer. I'm like, and that makes her less bad, eh? Or if they were trying to play my argument. She never got caught. She is the most dangerous serial killer in the history of America, if that is the case.
Yeah, because the murder rate in Cabot Cove is way higher than the national average. Like they have like 3 murders like a day or whatever.
Like a week maybe.
And that's still don't insane, be Jessica.
Because it's based on the percentage of population.
Yeah, Cabot Cove has like 5 people that live
Who the heck would live in Cabot Cove if that's the case?
I know, and then like don't ever be Jessica Fletcher's friend.
I know why people keep living there. Property values are low because of the amount of murders.
But yeah, don't be Jessica Fletcher's friend, or you will either you will get murdered, or you will be accused of being a murderer.
Yep. So that was my argument for that. So yeah, that would have been fun.
Yeah, 5 times the national average, according to Tom.
That's insane.
But yeah, I love that show so much. And when you said that was going to be your answer, okay, apparently we're cleaning the camera.
Sorry, it keeps focusing, and I think it could be because there was something on the lens.
Or I keep moving.
Well,
it's a very sensitive camera. Anyway, I love Murder, She Wrote, so I was so excited that you went like off the beaten path. And I thought the other answers were good too. Like Lucille Ball was a really good pull from Langley, arguing like her career and like how like she had to, like stand up for herself and in that world at that time.
Oh yeah, they're all fantastic. I didn't punch you, Tom. I rubbed you out.
Ew, phrasing.
Out, not off.
Anyway, so the best question of the show, and I think the most fun round, was the Tool Time crossover, and then they had some good ones. Like Langley had was it House Hunters or some kind of home show, or like Extreme Home Makeover, which I thought that was an interesting reality show pool because sometimes they'll do stuff like that. And then like Billy kind of had my idea where you pick something that's on TGIF that would actually work together, and I think Family Matters is a really good pick. That's probably what I would have gone with, but please tell the people your idea.
So mine was a little off the wall, but I still think actually mine was relatively similar to Brian's. You chose the Better Call Saul.
Yes.
But mine was less dark because my show is less dark. Weirdly enough, I had chose Burn Notice, and the idea was that in the twilight years of Tool Time, Tim the Toolman Taylor would go on a cross-country tour to workshops and things like that, sponsored by Binford Tools, and meet different people that use Binford, whether it's a machine shop or engineering shop or machine like car shops, whatever places that people do work with Binford Tools. Tim would go there, find out what they do, kind of like a tool equivalent of like diners, drive-ins and dives. Because that feels like something Tim the Toolman Taylor would do.
Yeah.
He would be like, I'm going to go around and talk about people that use our tools. So at one point he goes to Miami. Yes, because Bruce Campbell is amazing. He goes to Miami, and while in Miami, some crime lord that ridiculously bought like a Benford table saw, but it was defective because as a kid, I always saw Benford would be like the Acme tools of the real world. Like it was always kind of a joke because why would they keep paying Tim money to be their spokesperson?
I know, right?
Unless like that's all they could afford.
Because, or that it was like so popular because he kept almost killing everybody.
I guess. I don't know. Regardless, so he blames Tim because, crime lords in television series are usually, they're smart, but they're crazy.
Yeah, and so you had told me that you were going to set this early in the burn notice
it would be like 91, or it would be like 2001. Basically, technically after the show's already run, but if we're doing the weird world that Brian did, then I can do the weird world where the show continues past 99.
So, but like early in burn notice is run, but after.
So while Michael is still a burn spy. So
before Jesse.
Before Jesse shows up, before they figure out a whole bunch of stuff in the Carla days, we'll say. And if you've seen Burn Notice, you know what I'm talking about. But what ends up happening is, when there's a crime boss that attacks the shop that Tim's at recording the show, and they survive somehow, cops show up, but it's very clear to Tim that someone's going to try and kill him. So the guy who owns the shop that he's visiting for the show says, well, I have a friend in town named Sam Axe, who has a couple of friends that he works with that they basically solve people's problems. So enter Michael Weston, burned CIA spy and local vigilante do-gooder.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Don't ever tell anybody I helped you, but like everybody knows that Michael Weston helped them.
Yeah. It's one of those situations where like, how did you hear about me? Oh, that thing you did over in this other part of town 2 weeks ago, my uncle told me about it. But so basically what ends up happening is it's Michael, Sam, and Fee teaming up with Tim, Al, and I can never remember the woman that's on the show's name, unfortunately. I always remember Jill, and I always remember Heidi. Was Heidi Pamela Anderson, or was Heidi the one that came in after Pamela Anderson? Regardless, the woman that came in after Pamela Anderson.
Yeah.
The three of them would have to team up with Michael, Sam, and Fee, and it would be hijinks ensuing. At least when like it's Michael and Tim like having to like turn a cell phone into a bug.
It's Heidi.
It's Heidi. Okay. It's Tim trying to turn a cell phone into a bug, or Michael's trying to make a cell phone into a bug, and Tim's like, well, why don't we attach a car battery to it, just like super juice, it gets a better range, and it would blow up, and things like that.
You gotta give it more power.
And Sam constantly having to deal with like Al's dry attitude. As much as I love Al,
I don't think so, Sam.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, Sam. There's cops there. Well, yeah, we're just gonna distract them. Nope, sorry, can't do it, Sam. So that kind of stuff. I don't know much about Heidi, but I'd imagine we could see more Heidi's personality develop in this situation, because as far as I've ever seen in the show, unfortunately, I don't have the encyclopedic knowledge of Home Improvement that Billy did, but still.
So you were just kind of going for something that would be fun.
They wouldn't be home. You couldn't have Wilson. They're in Miami.
Yeah, Wilson's not gonna magically be there and he show up at Michael's mom's house and look,
just over the
cousin came to visit.
Yeah, no. I did have an idea of crossing Twin Peaks with it, and that Wilson was visiting his home in Twin Peaks, is where he grew up. But that I didn't really develop that idea. The Burn Notice one just kind of came out and was like, it developed organically.
I still wish I could hear Billy would probably have like flipped out on you, like, what? That's so bad. Like he probably, because he's like, didn't he kind of flip out on Brian's idea?
But I think mine would have had a little more like leeway, because Burn Notice, at the end of the day, people don't typically die in Burn Notice. It's not about drug running all the time. That's not the whole idea. There's not corrupt cops that they're having to deal with all the time. If they are, they're usually the bad guy. Saul is not a good person.
Yeah.
He usually helps people, but it's not like good people. So at the end of the day, I think it was a bad one, but I enjoyed it. I had fun coming up with it.
You gotta go with something and like I was so excited, but yeah, we couldn't.
It was bad this morning.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was basically my pitch. I don't know how I would have defended it from the others. Honestly.
Yeah, because
that was the mystery round. That was when I was going in blind.
I knew what the answers were, but I didn't tell any. I wasn't going to tell. You
didn't tell him?
I did not tell anybody. I needed to know so I could prep BFF in advance. But I was like, yeah, you'll be okay, because like those are shows that like you had heard of.
Yeah. Billy still gets the point. Of course Billy gets the point. Did you see the picture I shared? It's just like he's got this pegboard at home of like how he could combine these two shows and how it would work. But he's just like,
no, and like he went with an idea, like, and I told you like, hey, like pick something from TGIF, and you're like, I'm gonna do whatever. I'm like, okay.
But I wouldn't have been able to argue something from TGIF as well.
That's true.
But I had fun watching the show. It was a fantastic show, and I know he's probably not watching right now. I hope maybe he watches this later. Thank you so much again, Billy, for coming on.
It was so awesome.
Us getting to say hi to you before the show meant a whole bunch. I really, when Jack had mentioned he was talking to you about potentially fighting, I was like, I want to go up against Billy because I love the show so much. I love
hopefully maybe in the future Billy would like to come back and you'll get that opportunity. So
hopefully.
He seemed like a really cool guy, and he's always really nice on TV fights to read everyone's tweets and interact with everybody.
Jack, you're saying who knew he had that much knowledge about home improvement? Well, we all have our shows. So if you had quizzed me on, I don't know, Bob's Burgers, I could name specific episodes. If you had quizzed me on Transformers, I could probably name like 30 some odd Transformers and combine it with stuff. I had thought for a moment, doing Transformers and home improvement, but then I realized that would be only for me. That would have been for me, completely for me, and it would not have been good.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I thought Billy had a good idea with Family Matters.
His was perfect, and he tweeted about it afterwards too. A reply to me, he was going to cross it over with a step-by-step, I think.
Okay.
Like that's where they were going to get the lumber to do the repairs. Is from the dad from the show Step-by-Step, whatever, another show that was on at that TGI, time. And I'm just like, what the? That's just genius.
My silly idea, which I tweeted about, was to combine Ash versus Evil Dead with Home Improvement because they're both in Michigan and they involve tools, and like it was really just like a concept. It wasn't like I pitched it out or anything, because I like to think about the answers too, and just like Ash not getting along with Tim because like you need more power, and then like his saw goes crazy, and like everything's going wrong, and like Tim accidentally like reading from the Necronomicon, and just silliness. It was a silly idea.
Another fun fact: an actor from Home Improvement has already been on Burn
Oh,
Notice.
that's right. The oldest son. What?
I was going to see if people would watch to figure it out.
Sorry.
But regardless, it's a fantastic show as well.
Yeah, he was so, like, the character he played was so awful on that show. Like, he was trying to...
He hired an assassin to kill his stepmom.
Yeah, and he hired multiple assassins to get the job done. And, yeah, it did not end well for him. Zachary Ty Bryan is the actor.
Yep.
I can't remember...
the character's name.
I know it wasn't Randy. Randy's JTT.
Larry's... Oh, which brother he is? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have Billy knowledge of Home Improvements. But yes, that was my pitch. It was not the best, but it was fun. Oh man, Tom over here with Celebrity Rehab. That would be hilarious. Hilarious.
Anyway, I think that's about all from us on this live episode.
So tune in next time. I believe we have another one next weekend because there's another fan fiction next weekend.
Yeah, and we'll have to figure out if we'll be able to do it live that day, because you're in a wedding that day, and I don't know what time the wedding ends.
I might be in a wedding that day. We don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, but there is a wedding scheduled that weekend, so that's why we're not fact checking. So we'll let you know if we have to postpone it maybe to Monday or something, because Monday is Labor Day, right? So we could maybe go on before Odd Shape Panel.
Yeah, that sounds like we could even do it early afternoon or whatever.
Yeah, if they're because I don't remember what their schedule is.
We'll figure it out. We'll be in contact because we talk with our tough family.
We do.
So thank you for tuning in, and it's a spice day for a wedding. For Joe wedding. Oh my God.
Well, we're already married, so for your
No, I get it. To the tune of White Wedding.
Oh, okay.
But thank you for tuning in, and if you aren't watching live, thank you for watching afterwards. You can catch us on Twitter, where I'm at Drake Masters.
And I'm at _Mrs. Davis, and we also have a mutual account that's for all of our other channel stuff.
Like our live streams we haven't done in forever.
Yeah, for video gaming, it's called Geek to My Nerd. So the Twitter for that is at Geek to My Nerd, and there's an underscore in between each word. We need to learn how to do that lower third thing that other people
Yeah, it's
do.
probably a good idea. I'm going to talk with you about that this week, Tom. We can practice. It'll be fun. The guests in next week's fan fiction, by the way, Jack is informing me in the chat, and I might as well go ahead and do that.
Of course.
Is Mr. Jay Washington, who is often on Screen Junkies. I believe he does news with him a lot and does a lot of other stuff. He's fantastic.
Yeah, hilarious.
Yep. Brian Hurst and Joe C. He knows who he is.
Chendango Joe.
Yeah, Chendango. That's what he goes by on Twitter.
Yeah, who we met in Philly.
And he's fantastic.
Yeah, great
Always
guy.
good to find another Joe.
So excited for him to fight because we were having like a lot of good conversations at the Tough House, and it's like you would be good on fan friction.
Yes, it would be so much fun. So that's been our episode of BFF over Friday Night Lights. Thank you for tuning in, and
we'll see you next time.
Yep.
Bye.
Wish us luck. We'll be on Twitter. Keep an eye out for us.
Yeah, Harvey updates.